Welcome to the 718. I'm Salvatore Cassio, along with my co-host Charlie Crane, bringing you weekly New York sports updates from real New York sports fans.
All right, hi Sal. This is going to be our first episode that we've ever done, so it might be a little choppy, but we're going to work it out. And today is going to be an MLB in focus episode with the MLB season quickly approaching. Obviously, you can tell by our jerseys that I am a Yankees fan, and Sal is sadly a Mets fan, so we can all pity him. And I think the first thing we're going to talk about today is going to be Mets ownership. So obviously, like from an outside perspective, I've seen a lot of things about Steve Cohen and then potentially like a group of like athletes like A-Rod and Travis Kelce potentially making a bid for the Mets. Like, so I want to know what you think about that.
Oh, well, thank you. This is a very controversial topic as a Mets fan. As a lifelong Mets fan, I've had the Wilpons in power of the Mets my entire life, and I am very happy to hear these rumors about the Mets potentially selling because I think the Wilpons are arguably one of the worst owners in the MLB. And I hope with COVID approaching that the Wilpons would be able to sell, preferably at a lower price to someone like Steve Cohen. And as you said before, with the whole A-Rod and the whole athletes group, I'm not really a fan of that personally because I feel like a lot of them, similarly to the Wilpons, are kind of in it for the financial aspect of the business, let alone like Steve Cohen, who's been a lifelong Mets fan, being born in Massapequa. I feel like he just has a lot easier. I feel like he'd be a lot better owner for the team and would actually want to see them win as opposed to maximizing his profit margins and stuff like that. So,
You know, I definitely agree. I think the most important thing about an owner is that obviously financial backing like has to be an aspect of it. But I think the owner needs to treat it like a sports team that wants to, that needs to be ambitious, because I feel like for so long I feel like the Mets have lacked ambition, and obviously I have a biased point of view. Like I will look for anything to bash on the Mets and the way they're run. But I think I hope Steve Cohen does purchase the Mets, because I'd like to see a better Subway Series and a better rivalry with a Mets team that I feel like is trying to push and win championships.
yeah, I just to really go off on what you said, I want to see the Mets like act like they want to win, see them spend money, make playoff pushes and stuff like that. Not with a team that has minimal spending and stuff like that, like under the Wilpons. Like I want to be a team, a bigger market team like the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, all that have relatively good owners, and I actually want to see their clubs win, and most importantly, care about their fan base.
Do you think it's close? Because I feel like this isn't the first time, especially in the last couple of years, that we've heard rumors about Wilpon selling and about there being buyers interested. Do you think there's anything different about this story?
Well, now they're taking bids, and I saw Cohen actually put in for a bid of $2.6 billion, which hopefully will trigger the Wilponses to pull the plug on the Mets and hopefully give it to Steve Cohen. Because I'm really not a fan of A-Rod, to be quite honest with you.
No, I feel like A-Rod, Travis Kelce, a couple other athletes that as minority owners. I can't see that being like a winning formula. Like I feel like that would just I feel like it's almost like a spur of the moment. Like, let's just try to make some money. I think Steve Cohen's a much more dependable option for you.
Yeah,
And like I know A-Rod was a Mets fan when he grew up. I feel like I've heard that before, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's great to have like an athlete to like a lot of us grew up watching, who is a Mets fan, only your team. But like I feel like Steve Cohen's a more reliable option. And
yeah,
I'm definitely spoiled with Brian Cashman. Brian
yeah.
Cash and I not like Brian Cashman is able to spend the Yankees money perfectly, and I'm definitely lucky to have that. So I acknowledge that helps the Yankees win. So I hope you're able to get something like that.
Yeah, like you said, like either way, like someone like Cashman, like the GM of the Yankees, like has the Steinbrenners' financial backing to basically do whatever they want to push forward and like do what's best for the club in terms of like winning and stuff like that. And I mean, any GM you put in the Mets organization is going to be like pulling teeth with the Wilpons.
Yeah,
And like you said with A-Rod is unfortunately a player of the New York Yankees for
absolutely.
the majority
He's
of
on
his.
MVP.
And don't get me wrong, he's a great player, but I just think someone with Steve Cohen that has like a lot more capital would be a lot more in favor of the Mets in better interests for the overall like winningness of the club and stuff like that. And I mean, unfortunately, now that the Wilpons haven't sold yet, that leads me into another topic that I'd like to talk about is our season predictions. So, what do you think? How do you see the Yankees' future looking like this season in the 60-game span?
I mean, obviously, I think 60 games, anything can happen. I think everyone talks about baseball being a marathon and not a sprint. And I feel like the MLB and the owners took way too long to find an agreement to get people back playing baseball. I think that we should have been playing baseball July 4th weekend, and I'm disappointed that we're not. So I think 60 games. I'm worried that I feel like we could see a scenario where the Yankees don't make the playoffs and the Tigers make a run at the Central. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I do think that the Yankees are built to win now. I can't imagine us not winning the division. I think that we have one of the best batting orders in the league. I think we have one of the best bullpens in the league. Starting pitching, starting pitching definitely needs work. Severino being hurt is a blow, but Gerrit Cole, obviously the big signing of the offseason. James Paxton, who would not have been playing at the start of the season, we're going to have. He's a solid arm in the rotation. I have a pretty positive outlook on the Yankees right now. What do you think about the Mets?
I have a question for you before we go into the Mets. Do you see the Yankees winning that division?
I do. I think the Rays are a good baseball team that don't get a lot of credit. I think they have a really good rotation and a solid batting order. But I don't and the Rays typically play the Yankees very hard. It's usually a very hard series for us. But I think the Yankees will come out on top in the division. I think the Blue Jays could be a sleeper team. I really like that roster. It's really young. I don't think they're there yet to make a deep playoff run, but again, in 60 games, if they come out for 35 of them and are hot, then I think that sets them up for a good place. It sets them up for in a good spot to make the playoffs. But
Yeah, completely. So I guess into the Mets. Honestly, like you said, I definitely agree. It's not going to be a traditional MLB season, and literally anything can happen. It really is just going to be like a sprint this year and not a marathon. And the Mets usually, I have a pretty positive outlook on them, obviously because I'm a Mets fan. But to be quite honest with you, I see them making the playoffs. They usually tend to do well towards the beginning of the year, and hopefully that momentum could propel them through
yeah, I
September.
agree. I feel like a lot of the times the Mets make a great run in the beginning, and then you have a terrible middle of the season, and then you're forced to make a run at the end. So
That's the Mets thing. Usually have like a terrible June, and then we make a push towards the end of the season, but it's not enough to cover all the losses we took towards the middle of the season. And like I said before, the Mets love making those runs toward the end, and I could see in like a 60-game season a potential maybe wild card or even division, even us winning the division. Anything could really happen.
I do think anything can happen, but do you think the Mets are better than the Braves or better than the Nationals or better than the Phillies?
To be quite honest, I think a wild card spot is definitely more approachable or realistic from a MLB perspective. But like I said, anything can happen. But every team has the same advantage, so it's not like the Mets are at like a better advantage than any other team by
Yeah.
the shortened season. It's just going off of what's happened in the past and making an assumption. So I have a good outlook on the Mets. Our lineup relatively good. The infield solid. The outfield is going to be platooning with Cespedes back in the lineup. Rotation, losing Syndergaard really gave us a big blow, and I think it really, really hurt us overall. But the signings of Michael Waka was solid signing. Oh yeah, and Rick Porcello. I mean, like, luckily this was before Syndergaard got hurt, so thankfully we had those two veteran starters that were now going to be in our starting rotation. Mats, I hopefully he can have like a breakout year. He's a solid left-hander. Stroman, I honestly have a very positive outlook on, and maybe he'll assume the number two role.
No,
And
Stroman was always something that Stroman was always a pitcher that I liked and a pitcher that I think would have been a good fit for the Yankees. But only thing I didn't understand about Stroman to the Mets is that Stroman is a big ground ball hitter, and you guys last year didn't exactly have the best infield ground ball defense. Like I never understood that move for you, but I think you definitely have it's definitely arm talent. So if you can improve there, I think he could be a good number two starter.
he definitely does pitch a lot to contact, and the Mets defense is shaky, so to speak. Especially Rosario's a little inconsistent. but he does his own and he holds his own there. So yeah, and then Jacob DeGrom, in my opinion, I know we could debate about this all day, but personally, I think Jacob DeGrom is is probably the best pitcher in the MLB.
No, yeah, I as much as I wouldn't like to, I can definitely get behind that. But I think the question with Jacob DeGrom is that he's going to pitch you innings, but can you give him the run support? Because like if you look at his stats over the past 2 years, he has exceptional ERA, but his win loss record is terrible. He can't seem to buy a win when he pitches with the Mets.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like DeGrom can pitch as well as he wants, but the Mets just haven't been giving him run support. And like I feel like a lot of the people on like the board and stuff like that vote for the Cy Young and stuff like that, like they see that in DeGrom. Like they know he's an outstanding pitcher. He was on a streak where he hadn't given up more than like one run in a start in like so long. It's outstanding, and I people made the argument for Scherzer last year or Bueller or someone like that. But like if you look at Degrom, like if he was on a team like the Yankees, like he would have so many more wins. He would have a lot
Yeah,
more
no,
sub 500 win loss record, and that's the thing. I feel like with a pitcher like Degrom, people haven't been looking for these people haven't valued win loss records as much of a as like a Cy Young determine someone that determines a Cy Young award winner simply because of a guy like Degrom who just can't get run support from his team but pitches lights out.
yeah, yeah, no, it's not. That's really not his fault. And like for the Cy Young, it's about the pitcher. Like if you ever watch Jacob DeGrom play, even if the Mets lose, you can tell that he's dominant. He's dominant on the mound. He controls the game, and like I do feel bad. I really do feel bad because he is exceptional. But like I think I think the Mets lineup is slept on by a lot of people, including probably me. I
Yeah,
like I think it's pretty decent. Like
it's
on paper, which I don't think it has been in a while. Like I feel like I talk to a lot of Mets fans about baseball, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna break out. Like expect a lot from him." And on paper, I'm looking, I don't see it. But like I was looking at it yesterday, and it's pretty good. I think it deserves more credit than it gets.
well. Let me tell you, the other day MLB came out with a rankings list for top lineups, and actually, believe it or not, had the Yankees as fourth and the Mets as sixth. And I was, as a Mets fan, I was honestly shocked to see that MLB had those power rankings like that. Because honestly, I was a little surprised with the rankings too. Like I could see why a team like the Mets, given like the potential that all those players have, could be ranked with like a team in the top six. But I'm just surprised that they got that recognition from MLB. And I know you have a lot of disagreements with the Yankees at four, and like to hear
I
why.
I believe that the Yankees. I believe that the Yankees are the best team in baseball. I know that I know most people would probably argue the Dodgers, which I respect, but I have my reasons for that. But really, what bothered me about the list the most was that the Astros were above the Yankees. I know that the Astros have now beat the Yankees in the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, but I think if you go position by position, I just feel that the Yankees have a better lineup. But that's a conversation for another day. I
Yeah.
guess I have a question for you about New York baseball. Obviously, New York is one of the hot spots in the world for the coronavirus. Do you think that will impact the roster significantly compared to other teams?
For the Yankees specifically, or the Mets, or both?
Yankees or the Mets?
Well, luckily there haven't been a lot of Mets players or notable Mets players going down. But I saw Chapman. Chapman
Yeah,
has
Chapman and LeMahieu are the most recent on the
yeah
Yankees roster.
yeah, which is unfortunate for the Yankees. But hopefully, if these players really do want to play baseball, they'll stay locked down. They'll be safe. They'll do whatever they can to prevent themselves from getting COVID, because I feel like for the betterment of fans and like the betterment of the world, like it would be a shame to see people of like these highly regarded calibers, highly regarded people get coming down with the virus, as the whole country's really just trying to watch them play. And back to the Mets lineup, for example, I would like I think like you said, I think they're very very slept on and very very underrated. And I can't promise you as a Mets fan that someone like, for example, like Pete Alonso is going to have like the same exact season, especially given the 60 game season. And I mean, not only is he a rookie, but I arguably in my opinion, he's at least like top five and potentially even top three first baseman in the MLB. And for someone like that, especially a rookie, I don't know if like he can have that sort of bounce back year. I think someone like McNeil is going to be a solid hitter. Nimmo in the lineup and Yoenis Cespedes coming back is a huge help for the Mets. They really needed they other than Alonso, they lack that power hitter, and that's someone that we need like Cespedes.
I mean, yeah, like Cespedes has been in the league for a while. Do you think he's still at the level where he can contribute, like to for a playoff pushing team?
Well, I think it's definitely a help. I think it's definitely more of a net positive than it is a negative. And like I said, he'll probably hit somewhere around like 250 to 280 potentially, and like or even higher given the fact that it's only a 60-game season. But like you really never know. Like I would just expect him to be like the cleanup hitter or the five hitter, and so in a lineup when he's surrounded by Conforto and Alonso, I think there's not really a lot of room for him to like mess up and have a lot of pressure on him. I think they could just ease him back into the lineup, and I think he'd be a pretty solid player.
I agree. Like when you were talking about Alonso before, I couldn't help but it didn't help but remind me of Aaron Judge's rookie season when he first broke out. Similar numbers, and then he had a sophomore slump, you could probably say, with a lot of injuries. And I think, being fair, he's never been able to stay on the field as consistently as he did that first year. Like, do you think the same thing is in the cards for Pete Alonso? I know two different players, but like similar play styles, similar body types. I just wonder if that's. I don't know Pete Alonso's injury history as well as you probably would. But
Yeah, like I mean, Pete Alonso was rarely out last year, and I mean, obviously, you're talking about the sophomore year, but even if he doesn't get hurt, like I feel like a slump is definitely possible, and a slump would be like a lot more, so to speak, like noticeable with his numbers, given it's a 60-game season. Had he would
yeah.
if he were to slump, but I'm positive on him. I think he's going to be a great player, great franchise player. Honestly, I don't think the Mets would ever get rid of him at the
No,
moment.
I think you're. I think he's the kind of personality that you can like make a figurehead of your team.
Yeah, he's arguably like him and DeGrom are becoming the faces of this franchise, and I can't see us letting him go. And as a Mets fan, I think I'd be very upset. And I don't like who would you consider to be the face of the Yankees franchise right now? Glaber?
Um, I think that I know that like in Yankees culture, the captain of the Yankees is a very big deal. Obviously, we haven't named a captain since Derek Jeter retired. I think that the next captain of the Yankees will either be Aaron Judge or Gleyber Torres. I I would rather have Gleyber Torres. I think he's huge in Spanish speaking markets. I was just reading an article on the Athletic about that recently, and I think he's more consistent than Judge. He's my favorite Yankee at the moment. So I obviously I would like him to be the captain, but I think it will be Aaron Judge.
Really?
Because I do. I just like I going off like the Yankees advertisements and like who they put in who they put in the Nike jersey first and like who they interview the most on like Yes Network. I feel like Aaron Judge. I feel like they're grooming him to be the next captain.
It's a shame. I really think I obviously I'm a Mets fan, so I don't really have a favorite Yankee. But if there's a Yankee I do like to play, I do like to watch. It would definitely be Gleyber Torres. I
No,
just think
I think
he
yeah,
carries himself in a certain way. He just plays solid baseball, and I mean
he does play solid baseball. Now, for me, my biggest problem with Aaron Judge is that, and really with the Yankees, like there's Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez. I just think we run into the problem where it's either we hit a home run or we strike out, and
yeah.
I think that's why I think DJ LeMahieu was such an important signing for the Yankees because he played old school baseball, get like opposite field, get a single, just putting people on base, and that's one thing I like about Gleyber Torres. Like 2 seasons ago, we didn't have a single. We had Gleyber Torres. No, it was Miguel Andujar was the only 300 hitter. We had one 300 hitter on the whole team. Last year we had four, and I
Yeah.
just think that that's like because we had guys like Gio Urshela, guys who could get hits, and I think our baseball dramatically improved.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you honestly. I think at least that I think the Yankees lineup should honestly be above the Astros. Their lineup I think it's the most feared lineup in baseball. as of last year. I mean, now the Dodgers and the Twins have a great lineup, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think I'd put them above the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees deserve to go above them. But honestly, like you said, 300 plus hitters is amazing. And you guys have like a really good balance of people who hit for average and then people who hit for power. And like
Hmm.
someone like you said, like DJ LeMahieu, if I had to compare him to a Mets player, it'd probably be like, for example, like Jeff McNeil. Like they play the same old school style of baseball, hit the ball and get on base. Like that's really
Hmm.
what you need. Like those are the people that you want up in like the bottom of the ninth to like just
It
put
is,
the
yeah,
ball.
because I feel like I feel like I just say I think that's what a lot of baseball lacks now. I feel like I feel like there seems to be a culture trend towards just hitting home runs or don't even bother, and I don't think that's baseball. Like I think there's so much of baseball missing of just getting on base that I wish more players brought to their games.
Yeah.
So I think I hope some Yankees players take steps towards that because like we have guys like Luke Voigt, who personally I can't stand. I don't think he hits for enough power to not hit the ball. So like I hope he can work on that. But I think it would be interesting.
All right, so now that we've spoken about lineups, let's get into rotations and bullpen. MLB posted, I believe, earlier today that
Yeah, no, I saw that.
I saw that. I think the Yankees were 6 and the Mets were at 8. And I'll let you speak on that first.
I mean, I think the Yankees have a very good rotation in general. I do. I think for a lot of like for a long time, that's been the sore spot of the Yankees roster. As everybody, they're not going to win a championship because they can't pitch. But I think we spent the money to bring in Gerrit Cole. I think he's now a clear ace. I think that's a big deal. We're missing Severino, but I think we have a great bullpen. Chapman, I don't know about Chapman's availability with COVID-19. I don't know how fast he's going to be back, but we have guys like Adam Ottavino, who I think is a really underrated reliever. Domingo Herman, I think we're going to miss. He's facing suspension
Yeah,
for domestic assault, but we have guys like Zach Britton, who I think is a really good left-handed reliever.
absolutely.
Um, I think Chad Green, I don't think has reached the heights that he has 2 years ago, but I think he has it in him. 2 years ago, he was a swingman for us, and he'd come on if a starter had a bad game. I still think that player's in there, but I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of bodies who can throw, and I think like for the longest time, the Yankees have had to win games with their bullpen, and it was all about if our starter can get us 4 innings, we'll be fine. But I think we're now building a starting rotation that is way more capable than that, and we'll have to rely on our bullpen much less because I think that was our biggest problem in the Astros series is that towards the end we're getting into 6-7 games. I just think we were running out of able relievers that can come give us innings because we were using them so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about the loss of Dylan Betances?
No, I was never a big fan. I know for a I think he has all the talent in the world, but he was never a player that I felt confident with on the mound. I think he's hurt all the time. And I never he's either great and strikes out the side or he gives up 3 hits and we have to pull him. He was never a Yankee that I was a fan of, but I do acknowledge that he is a good pitcher, and I hope for his sake that he can stay on the field and like revitalize his career because he missed so many games for the Yankees that like I don't even think we ever got to
Oh,
see the best of him.
yeah, I think he had like 4 appearances last year or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
he gets like Achilles and knee, and he couldn't like he can never get a consistent run of games. But I think it's a good signing. I do.
yeah, I for the Mets, I was ecstatic when we signed him because I just remember how dominant he was in the 2018 season. So that was a really good signing for me, honestly. And do you think that Chapman's gonna keep up with how he's been doing?
I think so. I think before the playoffs last year, I think he went almost 2 months without getting up a run and just dominant. Like I think the kind of I mean, like obviously, like everyone sees his fastball that gets the like 102, 103 miles an hour, which is obviously dominant. But like, I have so much. I was talking about how little confidence I have with Betances on the mound. I have so much confidence with Chapman on the mound. I know he gave up the walk off to Altuve. That sent them on. But I can look past that. I think there might have been some other factors in play. But I still I'm very confident with Chapman on the mound, and I hope that he has 2 more years on his contract now because we extended that. So I hope he can stay at the heights that he was.
Yeah,
We talked about the Yankees rotation. What do you think about the Mets rotation? I know we talked about Jacob DeGrom in the beginning, but like as rotation as a whole.
yeah, rotation as a whole. I mean, with the loss, like I said, the loss of Syndergaard really hurt us. And I mean, now with this new rotation and stuff like that, I don't know. Personally, I think the Mets have a better rotation than the Yankees, but I mean that's up for debate.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I don't think we're ever gonna reach an agreement on that.
yeah, and my only rationale is I thought that the Mets were better. I thought that I in the past I thought the Mets were better with Syndergaard and then with Severino healthy. I mean, but mind you, with like the loss of now our number two starters, I think that the Mets still outweigh the Yankees. But like I said, I don't think we'd come to an agreement on that. Bullpen was arguably the biggest issue that the Mets faced last year, and I think without them, the Mets would be in the playoffs. Would have been in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Your bullpen let you down.
We had 20 plus leads in the seventh inning, and they all got blown by our bullpen, which was very uh, stressful as a Mets fan. And I think it's really sad. And that was one of the positions that we lacked in horribly. Edwin Diaz, I'll say this. I pray that he has a bounce back year. And
Oh man, Edwin Diaz is my favorite Met,
uh,
hands down. I love watching him play.
oh yeah,
Excellent,
yeah,
excellent baseball player.
nothing like seeing him blow a lead. It's amazing. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't know. I think he's surrounded with someone like Seth Lugo, and I think that's really going to push him to his fullest potential. And I mean, now with the signing of Betances, I'm very happy with him, and I think we're going to have three late game pitchers that we can throw in whenever, and hopefully we'll not throw the lead.
Yeah, no, I think Betances makes sense for you.
Mhm.
I think he's exactly the kind of pitcher that you need, and I wish him the best. I think he suits the Mets better than the Yankees because he had like the upside that he has is that he can be a dominant reliever, which is one I think you're desperately calling for.
Absolutely.
So
And the other thing was when we signed Waka and Porcello, it was just a matter. I really thought one of them was going to be like how the Yankees usually only use their starters for like 5 innings or something like that. And like I feel like he would have been like a nice long relief pitcher that the Mets could have really benefited from. And yeah, honestly, that's what I was hoping for. And hopefully, if the Mets decide to pay Syndergaard, that's what they'd be used for. And we extended Porcello and Waka.
I think Syndergaard arguably arguably has arguably has the potential to be better than Jacob DeGrom. I thought Syndergaard would be better than Jacob DeGrom. Rewind 3 years. I think he has the stuff for it.
He does. He has that. He has the fastball. He has the commanding fastball. He hits triple digits sometimes. It's just a matter. It's just his ERA is so high. He has like,
Hmm.
he has a very high ERA, and I think Degrom just has more control over his fastball and his off speed, and like isn't as reckless and really focuses on pitching.
Yeah. Well, I think the last thing we're gonna talk about today is Cole DeGrom.
Old Degrom. All right. So here's my case. I'll take Jacob DeGrom. I think it's a very close argument between the two, which is obviously why we're talking about it. But I would take Jacob DeGrom over Gerrit Cole, no question. And let me tell you why. DeGrom dominant, ERA amazing, back to back Cy Young awards, and and I think he's the ace. Like Cole always had someone that he had to vie with for his whole career. He had Keuchel. He had
Michael Verlander. Like he's never. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, he had Keuchel and Verlander, and someone like that. Like he's always been the number two, and then that doesn't mean he has time to develop. But I just think like in a lot of these situations where he's getting wins and stuff like that, like the other teams aren't really putting their aces against them. And I think that also benefits Cole's like win-loss record and stuff like that. But Jacob DeGrom has just been dominant. And I mean, they're two great pitchers. And I'm really happy that they're both in New York. And I think that's going to be really good for New York
I think it will.
baseball itself, because, in New York, they get so much publicity and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if look, I'm gonna be honest. I based off last season and the past couple of years, Jacob DeGrom is the better pitcher. But what I will say is that I think coming to New York, I think Gerrit Cole now has the platform to be the best pitcher in the league. I think he's coming. He's gonna, like we were talking about before. He's second to no one. He's second to no one on the Yankees. He's going to, I would say, the biggest baseball brand in the world. He's going to be the ace. I think he, like, we have a new pitching coach that I think that, like, it was tailor picked to attract guys like Gerrit Cole. I think that now is the time, if Gerrit Cole is ever going to do it, to be the best pitcher in the league, and I think he can. But I agree. I'm happy that they're both in New York. I think that we're coming up on a time when both New York baseball teams have the potential to be real contenders, and I think it's going to be the best. I think it's going to be the best overall New York baseball we've seen in a while.
yeah, hopefully we get another Subway Series, World Series. That would be awesome.
I would be all for that.
Yeah, me too. But and like you said, DeGrom definitely has the better. Cole definitely has the better lineup to deal with, and he could definitely perform a lot better having that constant run support by the Yankees, which DeGrom does not have at all, and hopefully he will have this year. But yeah, I think Cole definitely has the potential to be one of the best pitchers in the MLB, and to your point, even the best. But I'll still say right now, I'll take DeGrom any day.
Yeah, no, obviously.
All
All right,
right.
well, I think that's going to be it for our first episode.
Yep.
You can follow us on Instagram at the 718 Talk Show, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right.
Signing off.